Okay. Well, welcome to Doc Rides. I gotta give you guys an enormous thank you. I had no idea that anybody would be interested in this style of content. Just kind of chill ride-alongs, talking about, I don't know, sometimes just complete nonsense. Talking about bikes and that kind of thing. But I had a little motorcycle channel before that had, it was called NB Fam. I think there were maybe 10 or 15 subscribers. It was kind of similar content, and it never really took off, and I never had a video get more than, I don't know, maybe 50 or 60 views. But then, I don't know, I posted the video the other day of just taking this Goldwing for a nice long ride. And just yesterday, I got all these notifications about comments on the video. And yeah, there were like, I don't know, 1,000 views or something. And then I got more notifications and there were 2,000 views tonight. That's so cool. So thank you so much. And I think there are like 40 subscribers maybe. And that's crazy. I'm so glad that you're interested in this kind of content. I hope the sound is okay. I've been struggling, if you watched the last video, with sound issues using that Purple Panda mic, and I'm gonna crack the visor a little bit. I just went for like a walk. I walked the dog, and it's pretty humid out, and I was kind of sweaty, and so my visor is a little bit foggy. This is actually a bit of a cheaper helmet. This is my Bell helmet. It's not bad. The reason I got it, it's got this transitions lens, like a photochromic transition lens, and it's pretty handy in the sense that you don't have to remember to wear sunglasses or whatever. I also find helmets kind of squeeze my cheeks a little bit. As I'm getting older and getting jowly, I do find helmets don't fit as well on the cheek area. And this helmet is no exception. So I may ultimately, if people keep subscribing and stuff, I may invest in a better helmet for motovlogging. I do have a nice Shoei helmet that it's a Neotech 3 modular helmet. I really actually like that helmet quite a bit better. And even though it doesn't have the photochromic lens, it has like a drop-down visor that's very transparent, or a drop-down, you know, sunglasses attachment. I don't know what I'm saying. But this helmet is, because I had to like stick a thing on like a chin mount, I didn't want to put that on a, you know, $1,000 helmet, so I put it on this one. Tonight we're just going for a quick ride down from Quispamsis, New Brunswick, down through Rothesay. It's not necessarily the prettiest ride, but it is the ride to my mom's house. I'm going to try to take it down along the river. Sun's going down soon, so I'm not sure how well the GoPro works in the dark, like how noisy the footage will be. But right now should be okay. I think it looked okay just on the back of the screen type thing. Yeah, I've had a bit of time to think. I've been in Maine. I took my son on a bass fishing trip to Pushaw Lake outside Bangor. And we brought my stepfather-in-law, and I kind of have a funny story about it, but I should probably stick to just motorcycle stories for now. I don't know. Seems like that's what probably people are most interested in hearing. But I will say this: if you've ever owned a boat, like a small boat, especially, so I have a 14-foot aluminum boat. You probably know a bunch of old guys who always want to borrow your boat. And I don't know if it's just my luck or if this is a universal phenomenon, but every time you loan your boat to somebody, you have to expect it'll cost you at least $1,000 in damage repair. So my father-in-law, my stepfather-in-law, asked if he could borrow the boat to take his sons fishing the week before. And I said, oh yeah, no problem. But they went down to Maine themselves, and when they came back, the transom was ripped off the boat. Like there's a wood transom that goes, the stern of the boat has a transom where you hook up the motor, and they'd driven with the motor not tied down, and it had basically the mounts of the motor had eaten through, sorry, this is not a fast drive, had eaten through the wood and basically torn it in half. And on top of that, the motor had a oil circulation error happening. And he didn't tell me about either of those things until the day before we were leaving for our trip to Maine. So I called around. Nobody could. One thing about living in this part of the world, it's a beautiful part of the world, but man, if you need like quick service, this is not the place for you. So the fastest anybody could get the motor in was 2 weeks. And then on top of that, the fastest I could get the transom fixed was also 2 weeks. So what I did was I bought a used motor on Kijiji for like $2,900, just for a 10 horsepower Yamaha. And then because my son was like devastated that his trip was being canceled, he's been looking forward to it since Christmas. That was like his Christmas present. And then I bought or no, I didn't buy it. I had some scrap wood left from doing my deck, and I built like a splint. I was like, I don't know anything about carpentry, but I know some stuff about orthopedic surgery. What if I splint the wood so I take the two parts that aren't shattered and somehow fuse them together? So I used a piece of decking wood as a splint and sort of splinted the fragmented transom together. And believe it or not, it actually helped together for our trip. But in total, the repairs, like I guess because I bought a new motor and now I have to sell the motor at a loss, I'm guessing it's going to cost me like, I don't know, probably a couple $1,000. And every single time I've lent it out, it's cost me that much. One time, my neighbor borrowed it and crashed the trailer while filling up with gas. And the last time I lent it out, all of a sudden the wheel bearings didn't work anymore. They were new wheel bearings, so I had to get a new set of wheel bearings in the trailer. One guy ran the boat into a concrete piling. How does it even happen? Anyway, people just don't take care of your stuff like you do, in my experience. And it's so awkward when it's family because you can't really say no. I don't know what to do. Anyway, it's not really motorcycle content, but it's just some additional content. So I was trying the whole time not to be like grumpy with my stepfather-in-law, because like at the end of the day, he didn't do something out of being mean. He either did it out of just making a mistake, or I don't know, maybe incompetence. I don't want to sound too harsh, but that's probably what happened. This is a pretty area here, not actually right here, but coming up. But anyway, yeah, so I spent the last like 4 days trying not to be mean and trying not to be grumpy and just put a good, put a silver lining on things. And I knew, like, A, it's not worth a relationship. Like, a couple $1,000 is not worth your wife's parents not liking you. So I just did my best. Now, they don't like me, but damn it, I try. It's not for lack of trying to be nice. They probably think I'm a raving lunatic because I care about this stuff. But anyway, whatever. It's just, I am who I am. And then, oh yeah, here's where it gets pretty over the crest of this hill. But also, I really wanted to give my son a good trip because he's a little fisherman, and I live for fishing, but I actually am more into fly fishing for trout and salmon and that kind of thing. And he likes fishing for bass because A, those big tournaments in the States, the stuff that you see on TV is almost all bass related. Sorry if the windshield's a little dirty. I didn't have time to clean it before going out tonight. It would have been dark. Geez, I'm worried about the wind noise. I don't know. I'm really not good at this. But at any rate, he loves bass fishing because of, all the publicity it gets, but also I think because of you just catch more fish. Like when you're salmon fishing, you're lucky if you catch one fish in a day of fishing. You're really lucky. Like my average would be one fish every 5 times I go out or something like that. The banana traffic light analogy from Mitch Hedberg always rings in my head, that yellow means slow down instead of go ahead. Yeah, so in the end, he had a great trip. We had a really nice trip to Pushaw Lake. We stayed at a little Airbnb cottage, and the first night we were there, we had this massive thunderstorm. It was like one of those storms where the sky is flashing. Count the deer here. The sky is flashing every like 5 seconds, and it's just lightning strike after lightning strike. And he wanted to sleep in my room that night. He's 11. He's not like, and he's not really a wimp, but I think he just wanted to watch the storm or whatever. But I knew when he slept in my room the first night, I was like, oh, now I'm in for it, because he's going to want to sleep in here every night. And sure enough, he slept in my room every night. And after the first day, he was dreaming about fishing every night, and he would like go to set a hook in his dream, and he would like smash me with his with his wrists or whatever. If you're a parent, you can probably relate to this. But he's not like a size where he's weak anymore. He's actually probably quite a bit stronger than me. We play basketball together, and he can outplay me. You know, I can play a shift for like 5 minutes, and then I'm gassed and I need a break. He can play for easily an hour at a time without taking a break. In fact, on his team in the provincials are like, I don't know if you guys have state tournaments in the US or whatever, but it's like every major team from the province comes together for a big tournament. The tournament was after March break, and a lot of the kids, like, people aren't like super well to do here, and so if a family does a March break trip, they kind of have to decide, are we going to do a trip for March break, or are we going to do the tournament type thing? And even though the tournaments are like, this was in Woodstock, New Brunswick, it's not like it's a expensive place to go. It's still expensive for some people, right? So nonetheless, his team of 10 people, only 6 showed up for the tournament, and one was sick as hell. Thankfully not gastro, but that's like my nightmare. But but he probably was getting over COVID, to be honest, and just never tested positive. So we took him to that tournament, and he played every game, the full game, 6 games in a row. Now I think they lost every game, but they were the only team with only 6 players too, so it was like, you know, it was kind of expected that they wouldn't do great. This is the Kennebecasis River from the other side. Last video, we were over on that peninsula over there. This time, we're in, I think we're in Rossay now. It's a really pretty area. It's not a very fast drive. Thought I'd talk about, like, so anyway, the whole reason I was bringing up this trip is that I had lots of time to think, because like it was just a relaxing trip, and I was thinking about anything but work. Basically, work is a big stressor in my life, and I'm learning to, like, I'm in my 40s, I'm learning just now to compartmentalize and not carry that stress over when I'm on vacation type thing, or try not to. But so what I think about obviously is like guitars and motorcycles and cars. I love cars too. And I was thinking about, like, how do you organize your thoughts on this bike? And it's the positives and the negatives. And I think, you know, there are a lot of positives. I love the engine. I love the smoothness. I love the balance. I love the handling. I love how it doesn't feel heavy. It doesn't feel... It feels like a standard motorcycle with a windshield and a fairing. It's comfortable, I guess is what I'm saying. I freaking love the way it rides. I do. It's I mean, my voice might be jumping a little bit with these bumps, but like, I've never felt anything feel jarring on this bike. It's just it's a beautiful riding bike. I love the brakes and the feeling of safety you get from riding it. I gotta lift this. I'm fogged up again. One thing I really love, more than I thought I would, is having Apple CarPlay on that on that infotainment system. I know that's cheesy. I know I can just play from my phone into my Sena headset, but there's something about being able to stop and start audiobooks on this, you know, when you're whatever, at a light, or if you have to take a phone call or whatever. I friggin' love that you can listen to audiobooks comfortably and in a straightforward manner while riding to work and home from work, and when you're on a boring ride, like when you don't want to listen to the engine, when you're just going to be sitting in traffic a bit. Because I love books. Like I do write books, and my second book is coming out for publication in the fall. Free outdoor movie. That'd be fun. I'd love to go to a free outdoor movie, but I gotta go visit my mom. Yeah, Apple CarPlay makes such a huge difference, and the interface is, once you get used to it, it's pretty easy to use. My wife has a Honda product. She's got an Acura RDX, and the infotainment system on this is easier to use than that. And I'm not saying that like tongue-in-cheek or anything. I thought this would be a real pain in the butt to use. It isn't. The things I don't like on this bike, I'm not sure it's even something I don't like, but it's something that doesn't, I got an itchy face. Is there something that bothers me a little bit? This stuff here feels kind of cheapy, that plastic, and this door, I'm worried that if it breaks off, like, I don't know, it might be a really expensive repair, and it feels kind of flimsy. I don't know. All this stuff, like the painted plastic, looks deadly. I don't know why they didn't make it just a darker color, or like, and maybe it's not cheap and flimsy. Maybe it just feels that way. I don't know. It hasn't broken yet. I do like metal bikes. Like the one thing I miss about my Harley, and the thing I like about the other Harley, that I'm gonna take this in for its switch repair and pick up the Harley tomorrow, and maybe we'll do a video on that. I love metal and chrome, and this bike I don't think looks as good with chrome. I think it looks good the way it is. It's all blacked out. It's a cool look. And from 5 feet away, I friggin' love this bike. I love it sitting on it too, but I just mean you don't notice that this kind of looks flimsier. It's that piano black plastic. I don't know. Just that one material I don't love. The other thing I don't love about it is sometimes it's really finicky connecting your Sena headset to the bike and then connecting your phone to the bike. And by that I mean, when you connect, sometimes there's this big long wait where the headset says it's connected, but you don't hear the radio through your headset. And if you try to plug in your phone before that wait is over, you don't get Apple CarPlay. It like defaults not to give you Apple CarPlay. It's not a big deal. And sometimes it works immediately, and I'm not sure if I'm doing something wrong or if it's just the unit that I have. So I don't know that I'd say that's an overall problem with the this generation of bikes, but it's just something, if I was working at Honda, it's something like I'd want feedback on, because I know it's a minor irritation, but it's something that would probably be fairly easy to improve. It could be, now I have two Sena headsets, so I have one in my Shoei that's like Shoei, I don't even know, I'm an idiot, so don't pronounce anything the way I do, it's obviously going to be wrong. But I don't know how to, what am I talking about? Oh yeah, the Shoei headset. The one that goes with the Neotech 3, I think is called like the SNRL 3? Snarl 3? Does that sound right? Maybe I got it wrong, but anyway, it's a newer model obviously, and it seems to work faster. So maybe this SMH10 that's in my Bell helmet, because it's like, I don't know, I got it with my dad when he was healthy, so in like 2015 probably, maybe 2014 we got these. Maybe because it's older, that's the issue. Now that I think about it, that's probably more likely the problem is with the headset as opposed to the bike. Anyway, just something to watch out for. It still works, you just have to be patient. So what I've been doing is turning on the ignition, turning on my headset second, and then get my gloves on and everything, and fiddling around, and then throwing a leg over, and then starting the bike, and then usually you'll hear the second beep and the radio will start playing, and then you plug in your phone. I don't know, and then it works. The other thing that I don't like on this bike, and it's, again, it could be a rider fault as opposed to the bike's fault. When I am coming down to like a crawl, for whatever reason, when I go into first gear, sometimes the bike thinks I'm trying to get into neutral. Now, I don't know if people do this. Do you click into neutral and roll into a gas station or whatever? I've never clicked into neutral, I don't think, on a ride in my life. Like I click into neutral after I stop. It may do it at the stop sign. And it wouldn't be a problem. Like, I'm used to having bikes go into neutral, but you have to let the clutch out in neutral, pull it back in, and then click it down into first for it to go. And it's kind of disconcerting, and I could see potentially having a tip over. You're not going to be in a high-speed crash, obviously, because you're slowing down. It happens at like walking speed. Yeah, that's just one little like minor complaint about it. But other than that, man, this thing is freaking deadly. What am I at? 4,092 kilometers. I had no, it went into first that time. I don't know why. I can't predict when it's going to happen. I think I had 3,000 kilometers on it when I got it, so I've put about 1,100 kilometers on it in 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. That may not seem like a lot, but man, I've ridden this thing to work every day it wasn't raining. So if there's any endorsement I can give, it's that a guy who usually rides his car out of laziness or out of want to listen to audiobooks, like, I'll be honest, I like the infotainment, all of a sudden I'm taking this thing all the time. There's a weird thing that I've noticed as somebody who rides both a Harley and a not Harley, and multiple not Harleys, I guess. Harley riders often don't wave back to you unless you're on a Harley or a bike that looks like a Harley. I don't know. Is that a thing, or is it just in my imagination? I don't care, like, wave or don't wave. Sometimes it doesn't feel safe to wave. I feel like a bit of a snob if I don't wave, but I'm like, oh yeah, no, I need my clutch. Sorry, dude. Or I need both hands on the bars. So I usually don't take offense, but it's just something I've noticed since getting the Goldwing, that you don't get a lot of waves from Harley riders. I wave to everybody on a motorcycle, man. Like, and my dad did too. When we went from metrics to Harleys or whatever, we always waved to everybody. One bike that you'll probably see some content for is, I have a DRZ 400 from 2003, and there's kind of an interesting story about it. The wind is howling today. I think we have weather coming in. So that was one of the reasons I decided to do this little video tonight. But yeah, the DRZ 400, again, I was at a point where my dad was really sick. He was really into motorbikes. I was kind of humoring him by trying to, like, you know, watch all the YouTube videos along with him at first. Like, I was like, yeah, motorbikes, like, we've always been into it, but I didn't get, like, super into it. And then all of a sudden I found myself getting, like, the bug. Like, oh man, I'd like a new bike. I was happy with just my Super Glide Custom for about 5 years, and then all of a sudden I wanted like a million motorcycles. But geez, I hope the wind noise isn't too bad with the helmet cracked, but man, it's fogging up without a crack. Anyway, one of the bikes he was really interested in was a DRZ 400. Now, we'd always been into dual sport stuff, but I had an XT350 that both of us loved when I was a kid. But outside of that, we never had a dual sport, and we never had the garage space to have like a bike, an extra bike. Like, we each had a two-car garage essentially. And so he ended up, like, when he got his Road King, he parked his car outside. But even then, it was kind of tight with all the shit in his garage. So, but then a tree fell on our shed, and so I had to replace it. So I got a bigger shed that could fit a motorcycle, and then I got the idea that, oh well, maybe I could get a DRZ 400. So I went looking for them. It's a Suzuki dual sport. If you don't know them, like, I don't know, they've kind of been a staple of dual sport motorcycles over the last, I don't know, 20 years, I guess. And they're a single cylinder 400cc like carbureted bike, and I don't think they've changed since when did they come out? 2001 or something like that. They look exactly the same. I don't know, maybe there's some tweaks and updates and that kind of thing. But I found this 2003 for sale again on Kijiji, which is like our version of Craigslist, and they only wanted, I think it was like $2,000 for it. And I thought, oh, it's going to be beat to snot. Do I really want to get into a project kind of thing? But I went to see it anyway because it was the only one for sale. And there were a lot of DR 650s, but I really wanted the liquid cooled 400. I don't know why. I think I'd just been watching a lot of content with them, and I had the bug. And they're lighter. And I had this idea that, oh, I'm going to like ride across the country off road. No, I'm never going to do that. But that was just what was going through my head. Anyway. So I went to see this bike, and the story was the guy who owned it died, but he didn't die in like 2017 or 2018 when I was there looking at it. He died in 2006, and they had this property that had been in oh, what's it called? It's like when somebody dies without a will. Oh man, probate, I guess. So he had this property that was in probate for like, I don't know, 15 years or something. It was some crazy thing, and they weren't even allowed to go in it. It wasn't his kids. It was like his nieces and nephews. He didn't have any kids. And when they went in, he had all these friggin' motorcycles and cars and all this cool stuff, and it was in this huge garage. So they took me in. I had a Norco jump box, I think is how I got it started, and it ran like on 15-year-old gas. I probably shouldn't have run it on 15-year-old gas. I should have taken the carb off and everything else. By I don't know if you watched the last video. I mean somebody I hire, because I'm useless at mechanical stuff. I got to take it easy here. I'm worried about deer. This is coming down into Kennebecasis Park. This is where my mom lives. This is where she and dad lived, and she still is in the house. Anyway, yeah, didn't go into neutral that time either. I don't know when it does. See if it auto cancels. Oh yeah, baby. When I got this bike, he didn't have auto canceling on. Like you can turn it on or off on the turn signals. And I was like, what the hell? It doesn't have auto-canceling turn signals? It's like supposed to be like a bike from the future. Then I thought, no, it's got to be an option. Sure enough. Anyway, this DRZ had 1,000 kilometers, less than 1,000. It wasn't even broken in. And so I took it, I drained the gas, I changed the oil. I put metal foot pegs on it, again, because I'd been watching... Oh, there's a duck. I've been watching content, and I wanted to be more extreme, I guess. I'm not that good a rider. Here's the bright lights, if it makes a difference. You get to see the difference between brights and dims. Got people walking here. I don't want them giving me grief. Anyway, yeah, so that bike was like brand new. I put the tires were kind of old and cracked from sitting in the garage. So I put new, I don't know, there must be some loophole. They're DOT approved street tires, but they are the knobbiest tires I've ever had on a motorcycle. Well, it's Brendan. He was my babysitter when I was growing up. And I put those on it, and it became like an off-road dirt machine. It was really deadly. But that bike, the one thing about it is it only has 5 gears, and it is not geared for highway use. It is the buzziest damn bike I've ever ridden on the highway. It's my fault. I have knobby tires on it. Like, what am I complaining about? But it needs a 6th gear. And the other thing it needs is to be fuel injected. I love carbureted bikes. Look, I love the sound of a carburetor. That hiss of air moving through a carburetor is like, I don't know. If heaven sounds like that, I wouldn't be surprised. That or like a babbling salmon river. But the friggin' carburetors in Canada, every winter you have to tear them apart in the spring when you take the bike out of storage. I've tried starting the bikes all winter to make sure they don't gum up. I've tried everything, and eventually one day you go to start it, like if you start your bike once a week, you go to start it and it won't start, and sure enough, carburetor is full of crap. I don't know what frustrating. Anyway, let's end on a good note. I just want to thank you guys again. Like, so freaking cool just to have like people interested in this type of content, peaceful ride-alongs. I don't know, sort of semi ASMR. One guy was kind of mad at me because I made a joke about Joe Biden on the last one. I'm sorry. I'm I'm really not political. This is my great parking job I always do at my mom's house. It was just I was forgetful, and I thought Joe was a little forgetful too. Anyway, well, thanks for watching, and look, have a great day, ride safe, and yeah, thanks again. See if I can figure out how to turn this off. See you later. Say that again?
This is cool.
Yeah. GoPro 12, 0. Here's the 8. Oh.